Good morning, hello, and welcome to the final episode of Breakfast with Bev Season 2, the 2023 edition, a challenge that I've issued to myself and that others have hopped on of making a little video journal every day of October. It's now the 31st day. So after I upload this, the challenge is officially over. This little hidden second channel will go dormant for a while. I don't know, maybe I'll post some extra reflections on the 30 days because I want to do sort of a recap today and think back on, my takeaways of the challenge and what I sort of learned through the process this year. But I think to some degree, I'm not going to know until the next couple days that I don't make them. They're not like incredibly high production value, anything that takes a significant amount of time to make, but it does take, an hour out of my morning every day or whenever I make them, and it's definitely a commitment, and it will feel strange in the coming days, not having this as part of my daily routine. I did think about continuing just for the hell of it, but I think it's sort of a nice natural stopping point now. Reflecting on the past month and what I intended to get out of this challenge, from like what I was saying in the first day or two, was very different than what I ended up getting out of the challenge, I think. The first couple days I was talking about those episodes out in the woods in my hometown. I was talking about routine and sleep a lot, those sort of things. My intention for the series was sort of a public accountability for sleep schedules, for building a good routine with work and health and everything. And that I think that goal quickly went out the window as later into the month things changed pretty quick. About halfway through the month, I lost my job. Well, that sounds like I got fired. Just the job doesn't exist anymore. Company is not in a position to have a salaried employee. And then, my goals sort of changed. I guess the second half of this month has been more of rather than trying to get on those personal routines, it's more been trying to formulate a plan and really get to work on my YouTube channel, I guess, plan A of self-starting business. There's other opportunities that I will probably have to do to fall on the bit to pay the bills, to fall on to pay the bills. I mixed up my words, but I I'm intending more to focus my efforts on the YouTube channel and see where that ends up, even if it's not in a position to pay my bills anytime soon. It's going to be my main focus, and I'll be picking up little contract gigs and random other things in the meantime to keep a roof over my head. By the way, I am trying to do this in one take, just as a little challenge to myself. I'm trying to see like what it would be like to do a more podcast type environment of a video, less edited, more just straightforward. I don't know. This was one challenge that I tried to give myself on last year's Breakfast with Bev series, October of 2022, was that I was trying to make less and less cuts throughout the course of the videos, jump cut myself less. Because how these usually get filmed is I'll kind of talk, and once I've finished my point, I will just sit in silence for about 10 seconds while I think about what I'm going to say next and where I want to go with that thought. And it's not like I started last year by fumbling my words and talking in circles, and I would have to chop all around my thoughts to be able to sound coherent. But by the end, I was able to talk linearly, and all I was editing was I was cutting out the pauses of where I was thinking of what I wanted to say next, not so much cutting things out. And that's still pretty much what I do today, but I do want to get closer to being able to kind of operate podcast style completely uncut. Not that that's something I would use in my main channel videos, but it's a good skill to have for, I think it would be cool to appear on podcasts at some point. I don't know about having my own regular podcast, but being able to appear and be a good guest and a good speaker and not have excessive pausing for thoughts and all that would be cool. See, this is one of those moments that I would think about what I'm going to talk about next, and I would cut. I caught myself doing that because that's so part of my habit of filming these things is like, oh yeah, complete a thought, and then I shut up for a second, and then I cut it. But paralleling that, those outtakes from those takeaways from last year of trying to get better at, talking linearly, being more well-spoken with my words, more targeted. I think this year is less being well-targeted with my words and more well-targeted with my actions, the broader scope of my strategy for what I'm doing. And all of you that have watched the videos somewhat regularly, especially the past 2 weeks since I lost my job, you've seen the kind of waffling and this is like you reading my daily journal basically, or experiencing what it's like to, if you were to hang out with me and talk with me every day, is like being kind of creatively scatterbrained and all over the place and flip-flopping my thoughts on things and like positive creative energy, but not knowing exactly which direction to take it all the time. And so I think that's been a part of this year, is kind of realizing as I rewatch these videos how nutty I sound sometimes, of like that I need to just kind of pick a path and go with it. This is the main thing that I wanted to talk about today, is this thought that I was having this morning of that having good, I want to make sure I say this right. I had it phrased well in my mind earlier. Having accurate knowledge and having good, how did I phrase it? The gist of it is that just because you have good knowledge and good information doesn't mean you have a good plan. You've got a lot of good plans that you could pursue in front of you. I don't know why I'm saying you, it's me in this situation. I have the knowledge to be able to make a good plan, but there's so many good paths that it's hard to not flip-flop and waffle about which direction I'm going to take, which you have seen firsthand in the past week or two of me, trying to decide how much I want to put into this next main channel video, when I want to release it, what are all of these factors, and even like talking about schedule of the main channel and whether or not I'm doing a second channel and where the second channel takes place and all of these ideas. And as I've been thinking this morning about, reflecting on this series and reflecting on how I've come across and what my thoughts are like, I am realizing that even though internally I am very calm and zen in my knowledge, I feel like I have good thoughts about what I need to do, what I should do, but just because I have that zen doesn't mean that I've attributed it to that I've directed it into one solid plan. And so that's something that I think I'm going to take away from this series and kind of formulate in the next week or two, is trying to actually figure out my real plans instead of uh, just going with the flow based on good ideas. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Am I talking crazy right now? Am I being unintelligible? I'm I'm saying, like, this is another one of those things I would cut. How long are we in this thing? 11 minutes. Thanks for sitting through this, by the way. But, this is the nature of, this is not intended to be. Okay, so this is where I was going with that. This is not intended to be, like, the challenge was not to make a good video every day. The challenge was not to make a palatable upload every day. This is not intended to be a like a YouTube channel that is like good content. The challenge is in recording, editing, and uploading, and also in just processing my own thoughts. If I were to, at some point down the road, do a challenge that's like posting every day on my main channel for 7 days or something like that, it would look extremely different from what I'm doing right now. And so this is what you get. Thank you for sitting through it, but this is just my raw thoughts. So I don't know if I tied up the loose end in my pause there, but where I was getting to is all of these waffly ideas that I've been spitting at you through this camera for the past 2 weeks especially involve, schedules for the main channel, plans for that, plans for a second channel. And, something that I'm thinking more about now is maybe that's not the right move. And just because I have all of these good ideas that are objectively like good ideas doesn't mean they all mesh together into one coherent plan. You kind of got to pick and choose the good ideas and good intel that you're moving forward with. And so, with my limited time and limited resources, being a human being on this planet Earth, I don't know that the second channel is actually a good idea. I think I kind of got in my head about it from making these daily videos here and seeing some degree of like numbers with them, because like I've said in previous ones, like last year they would get 6 to 10 views, and this year they've gotten 50 to, I think one of them broke 200 views, which is kind of crazy. And I was just seeing that and I was like, wow, there's some value to just throwing my thoughts out there, and maybe I need to make, some degree of official second channel content that's like somewhere between this and my main channel videos that are like, yeah, just raw, more in-depth thoughts on things. And the more I've thought about that, specifically in the last day or two, I don't know if that's actually the best use of my time, even if it's not that big of a time sink. I think the better plan likely is just getting comfortable with a little more of that low fidelity rawness on my main channel. I think to some degree, since seeing a couple videos blow up fairly big, which for me is like 10,000 plus views. I had one do 10,000, one do like 80,000. And after seeing those, I guess I maybe subconsciously, this isn't a well fleshed out thought, this is something that I've only been thinking about today, but I guess I've been subconsciously afraid of screwing that up, of losing that opportunity by posting junk or not as high quality stuff. And it is something that I've said before, that I strongly reject the notion of every upload should be better than the last. I don't think I'm falling into that trap. I think I'm just scared of having each upload significantly, about making that adjustment of quantity versus quality, and moving closer to a video every week that's maybe, 40% as in depth as the one that I'd be able to put out every 2 months or whatever. And that's a tough thing to convince myself is okay to do, but I think it actually is not only the right move business wise, but the right move from the audience's point of view. Is like, this is one big takeaway that I've gotten from this season 2 of Breakfast with Bev this October, is that people do just like to hear from people that they find interesting. I guess that, my everyday regular thought, and I have to be careful about the way I'm phrasing it. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm so interesting, I can say anything and people will that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying anybody is interesting just on the merit that they're not you. Like, I find Casey Neistat's, well, that's a crazy example because Casey Neistat's life is genuinely interesting and crazy, but somebody can just put their basic daily routine and thoughts out there. I don't know if I love that example, but people can put things out there that are extremely normal to them, and to the rest of the world, that person's normal day-to-day boring stuff, or their thoughts that are extremely obvious to them, their regular mindset, is like novel to somebody else. And I'm realizing that, and applying it to my main channel videos. I've made that realization somewhat through this series, is that I can say something that feels extremely boring to me because, I live in my own head, but to other people that don't live in my head or have a different mindset, that can be interesting. And so when I'm making my main channel videos, they don't need to be the most novel and well thought out thing for, well thought out isn't the way. They don't need to be novel to me, because if it's novel to me, then it's not my thought exactly. It's not something that came from like my soul. It's this interesting thing that I'm trying to be interesting to myself. But by presenting more basic thoughts within my own mind, I am actually truly being more novel, because the goal is not to be novel to myself. The goal is to be novel to everybody that's not myself. And by being interesting, something new and different within my own mind, I'm actually probably being more regular to the audience. Does that make sense? Am I going on a crazy diatribe? Probably a little bit. I am going on a crazy diatribe, but I think that's a good expression of that thought. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Was there anything else I wanted to say today? Don't know that I want to make people sit through any more than 20 minutes of my uncut thoughts, so... Well, that was all very broad. Those are my broad thoughts of testing. Is my mic actually working? That would suck. Okay, yeah, the levels are bouncing. Those are my broad thoughts from this past month and reflections. And I think another value that I haven't been able to get yet out of this that I have now been able to get out of last year's is down the road, a year from now, being able to look at my daily thoughts from this month right now. And it's kind of cool that I captured, that I was able to capture my day-to-day regular thoughts of this period where I lost my job. Like, it's kind of a cool coincidence that happened during this series, so I can actually get my candid thoughts and emotions. This is one thing that I think this format lends itself well to, is that this format allows you in the future to candidly look at your day-to-day life from the past. Whereas if I was making sort of like vlogs whenever something interesting happened, it would not be candid anymore. You're not candid when you're pointing a camera at yourself. But this format somehow breaks that by being a thing that happens every day regardless. Not every day something interesting happens, but then when something interesting happens, your camera's rolling anyway. So in that sense, it is a candid moment. And that's been interesting looking back on last year's season, and it'll be interesting next year looking back at this year's season, is being able to go back and view my day-to-day life in a very candid sense that you usually do not get to see on video due to the nature of, cameras aren't usually running all the time or every day on a consistent manner, regardless of what events have happened. So that is another thing that I have yet to appreciate from this month, but I will appreciate, 6 to 12 months from now, is being able to look back and see my thoughts from this really, honestly, big period of change in my life. So those are the greater big picture thoughts from this month. On a more daily journal note, today is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. I had a good weekend. Got to visit some friends. It was a really good time being able to just go back and not stress too much about things. I mean, I was sort of in the rush of trying to get this video out for my main channel, so there was a little bit of that in the back of my head. But generally, I had a relaxing, good time. Got to talk to some friends that I don't get to very often. Good, deep conversations. And, I don't know. I'm just happy coming out of that weekend. Feeling fairly good today. Trying to figure out what I'm exactly going to do with my week. I think today is going to be a big planning day, like I was talking about earlier in this episode on the broader topic of plans in general. And just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my November, and exactly what plan I'm going to formulate, rather than kind of scatterbrained operating on ideas that may all be good but may not mesh together. So today I'm going to continue cleaning up the studio, do some organization. All I have to do on the video is color grade the last 2 shots. I have decided not to post it today, which I know. But I did put in that title new main channel video October 31st, so he says. It never is just a deadline with me. In my eyes, today is still the deadline for the video to be done. I'm exporting and uploading the video tonight, but I'm not going to hit publish until next Tuesday, which I do apologize for building hype and then not actually releasing it, but I have good reasons, I think, for this. I want to develop a more sustainable flow with these main channel videos, and this is a very big video, and so I do want to spend the time to make sure I get the title, thumbnail right, all that stuff. And this has been a very big video, and the next couple videos are going to be much smaller, more like the 4 to 6 minute single project, kind of smaller scope, less philosophical deep stuff. And what I think is going to help me get into that long-term flow state and routine the best is if I don't rush this video out by today, because I totally could have it live. If I weren't doing this long breakfast with Bev right now, I totally could have had it live like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. But I'm choosing not to, because I think the best way to start this flow for this new chapter of my channel is going to be working on the next video before this one is even up. So spending the next week between today, the 31st, and next Tuesday, I will make some major progress on the next upload after that, so that hopefully I can be posting multiple times a month regularly on a sustainable basis. And I'll probably do the same thing with the next upload, is not uploading it immediately. So like this one's done today, but it uploads a week from now. By that time, I hope to have the next video done, but it's not going to get uploaded until 1 to 2 weeks after that. So I'm just going to kind of put them out at a slower rate than they actually take to make. Still aiming to have at least 2 out each month, and go from there, making smaller ones and slowly building this backlog. Like, every month generating 6 weeks of content, whatever that, if that's 3, say that's 3 videos, say I'm posting 2 videos a week, I make 3 videos a month, and so I slowly build out that backlog to be able to really build accountability and build a expectation from the audience and regularity. I just think long term that's going to be a better play than rushing out this video immediately and then feeling burnt out and then not posting again for another month. I think also on my topic from, was it yesterday, about deriving happiness from internal factors like doing work you're proud of and completing things, rather than deriving happiness from external validation like posting a video to a certain number of views or whatever. I think in that sense, to kind of get me off on the right foot with that, I like the idea of holding on to this video for the next week after its true completion, so that I can really kind of process and watch it back and be like, okay, yeah, this is mine. I made this thing, and I'm happy that I made it, and I'm proud of this. And I can kind of give myself all of those emotions and really process the fact that I'm doing what I set out to do. I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm making videos that I'm happy with, and that that can be where my emotions lie, rather than in the posting. And so giving myself sort of a week to process the creation itself with myself, before setting it public, because if I, just grind away at it for a while and then immediately set it public, then it's like I never got to really process and enjoy it. Not that I can't process and enjoy my own creations after they're public, but it takes away from the self-satisfaction of when I post it immediately. Now I'm just looking for validation of I'm checking the numbers every day, and I'm not as much processing with myself that I'm just happy that I made it. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that doesn't sound insane. And I do feel slightly silly about saying release dates publicly here, but again, this is what it's like to be inside of my daily journal and be, a part of this scatterbrained creative experience. But I thank you for coming along on the ride. Thank you for listening to this very special episode. Does that say 31 minutes? Wow. This is like a whole podcast we got here. Thank you for listening to the Bevcast, episode 1. My new podcast. That's all. That's all the thoughts I have for today. I'm spending the day processing, moving forward, generating plans, sipping some coffee. I don't usually drink coffee, but I am today. Certainly not a good cup of joe, but it is caffeine. And, yeah. Big things coming. Big things coming. I'm streamlining the next couple videos I have. So today, this video's wrapped. And the next week, I am looking at what I've got on the table, what I've got filmed, what I've got partially filmed, and deciding which ones make it into main channel videos and which ones get scrapped, which ones get combined together into a dual narrative. All exciting stuff. And moving forward. That's enough rambling. Thank you for coming along on this ride and being a part of this journey, this experience, this month of big change for me, potentially the beginning of the journey of me being a full-time YouTuber down the road. You were here. All right. Thank you. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the nice comments. It has really been a wonderful thing, this series. And I'm sure I won't fully process it, like I said, until later. But I was going to say I'll see you tomorrow, but I won't. So I'll see you next Tuesday on the main channel. Goodbye.